Have you ever wondered if everything you've been taught about Jesus, life, and death is only part of the story? What if there is a secret hidden in history, buried by centuries of tradition, that could completely change the way you understand existence, the afterlife, and the very meaning of life itself? For centuries, certain truths were deliberately concealed, accessible only to a select few who were prepared to grasp their full significance. Imagine discovering that the life of Jesus, the miracles, and even his death were part of a much deeper spiritual narrative, one that challenges the foundations of what you thought was absolute. Today, we will explore this hidden truth, the teachings and revelations that have been suppressed or forgotten, and why they could alter everything you believe about life and death. Some scholars believe that the mainstream narratives are only a surface-level representation of a much richer, more mystical truth. The Gnostics, early Christians with secret knowledge, saw Jesus not just as a historical figure, but as a revealer of hidden wisdom, a guide to understanding the spiritual dimensions of life and death. Hans Jonas and other researchers reveal that this knowledge was carefully hidden to protect both the sacred teachings and the unprepared. By the end of this video, you may start to see that the story of Jesus is not only about faith and devotion, it is also a key to understanding profound spiritual realities that have been concealed for millennia. As you watch, ask yourself, how much of your spiritual understanding is shaped by tradition, and how much is based on direct insight or personal discovery? Could it be that by uncovering this secret, we gain the ability to navigate life and death with awareness and clarity, rather than fear or assumption? If you are ready to uncover the hidden teachings of Jesus and explore truths that have been lost to time, subscribe to the channel and follow along as we reveal the knowledge that has remained secret for centuries, layer by layer. While the story of Jesus is widely known through canonical texts, many of his most profound teachings were never shared publicly. Historical evidence and Gnostic writings suggest that early Christian communities preserved secret knowledge that went far beyond moral lessons or miracles. The Gnostics saw Jesus as a revealer of hidden wisdom, guiding followers toward understanding life, death, and the spiritual dimensions of existence. These teachings were intentionally concealed, accessible only to those prepared for their transformative power. Some scholars believe that the mainstream narrative was simplified and structured by early authorities to control belief, presenting Jesus primarily as a figure of faith rather than a teacher of mystical insight. The result is a partial story, one that hides the deeper secrets about life, death, and the human soul. Hans Jonas and other researchers point out that these hidden teachings emphasized personal experience, inner awakening, and gnosis, the knowledge of spiritual realities beyond the material world. Initiates were taught how to perceive the soul, navigate spiritual obstacles, and prepare for the mysteries of death with clarity rather than fear. By suppressing these teachings, early institutions limited access to knowledge that could empower humans to understand their own spiritual nature and destiny. The canonical texts focus on parables, miracles, and moral guidance, but omit the deeper processes by which followers could awaken to the hidden structures of existence that Jesus revealed to his closest disciples. Symbols, ritual, and allegory were key tools in conveying these teachings. References to the kingdom of heaven, resurrection, and eternal life were not only moral promises, but coded instructions for inner transformation and understanding the soul's journey. The Gnostics interpreted Jesus' words as a guide to navigating both life and death consciously, using practices that revealed hidden truths about existence. The central problem, then, is that much of this transformative knowledge was deliberately hidden from the general public. By understanding what was obscured, we can begin to see that the life and death of Jesus contain profound spiritual lessons that go far beyond conventional belief. Even today, this hidden knowledge has practical implications. It suggests that many of our assumptions about mortality, the soul, and the purpose of life may be based on incomplete narratives. By studying the suppressed teachings, symbols, and allegories, modern seekers can reclaim practices that illuminate the mysteries of existence, offering insight, guidance, and spiritual empowerment. Reflect for a moment. How might your understanding of life and death change if you realized that the teachings of Jesus included secrets meant to awaken your consciousness, not just instruct your behavior? Could this knowledge transform the way you live, die, and perceive reality itself? By recognizing the hidden problem, the concealment of these profound teachings, we uncover the foundation for a deeper, spiritual understanding. Jesus' role was not only to inspire faith, but also to guide humans toward direct insight into life, death, and the spiritual dimensions that surround them. Ask yourself, how much of your current understanding is shaped by what was revealed, and how much remains hidden, waiting for discovery? This question sets the stage for exploring the historical texts and Gnostic insights that reveal the secret teachings in detail. Much of what we know about the hidden teachings of Jesus comes from texts that were suppressed or ignored by mainstream Christian institutions. Manuscripts like the Gospel of Thomas, the Gospel of Philip, and the Apocryphon of James contain allegories, symbolic instructions, and secret dialogues that reveal a dimension of Jesus' message inaccessible to the general public. These texts suggest that he provided initiates with practical methods to understand the soul, the process of life, and the mysteries of death. Hans Jonas and other scholars emphasize that these writings were intentionally layered with symbolism, ensuring that only those prepared could comprehend and safely engage with the profound spiritual knowledge they contained. The concealment of these texts means that the majority of believers have missed the transformative practices that Jesus taught. Symbols and metaphors were central to these teachings. The references to resurrection, eternal life, and the kingdom of heaven were more than promises. They were coded instructions for navigating the soul's journey. The Gnostics interpreted these symbols as guides to inner transformation, offering tools to understand life beyond the material and to prepare for death as a conscious, transformative passage rather than a moment of fear or uncertainty. Initiates were shown how to perceive spiritual realities, recognize hidden forces, and cultivate alignment with the divine spark within. These practices were not theoretical, they were experiential, designed to awaken consciousness and illuminate the hidden structures of existence. Historical evidence indicates that these teachings were highly regulated. The inner circles of early Christian communities carefully transmitted knowledge to ensure that it was received correctly and responsibly. The canonical texts, by contrast, present a simplified narrative focused on morality, parables, and public miracles, while omitting the inner methods and esoteric instructions. Some scholars believe this was done to maintain control, guiding the masses through faith while reserving transformative insight for the initiated. The result is a dual reality, an outward-facing story accessible to everyone, and a hidden path of spiritual awakening reserved for those ready to understand the deeper mysteries of life and death. The turning point in understanding comes when we recognize that Jesus' hidden teachings were not about abstract theology. They were practical, actionable guidance for transforming the soul. By engaging with these texts and interpreting their symbols, initiates could access insights into mortality, the afterlife, and the inner workings of consciousness. Hans Jonas noted that the Gnostic perspective presents life as an interactive journey in which knowledge, awareness, and intentional practice shape the soul's experience and its preparation for death. This contrasts sharply with the simplified narratives of traditional teachings, revealing a profound spiritual technology deliberately kept from the wider world. Reflect for a moment. What would it mean to approach life and death with the understanding that Jesus' teachings included practical methods to awaken consciousness and navigate the soul's journey? How would this change the way you live, the decisions you make, and the way you understand your own mortality? By examining these historical texts, symbols, and interpretations, we open a door into a secret dimension of Jesus' message, one that promises empowerment, insight, and a deeper connection with the divine, waiting for those willing to seek it consciously. The profound teachings of Jesus regarding life, death, and the spiritual journey were not always accessible. Historical evidence indicates that as early Christian institutions consolidated power, knowledge that emphasized inner awakening and direct experience of the divine was suppressed. Texts containing secret dialogues, symbolic instructions, and practical methods of transformation were hidden, destroyed, or excluded from canonical collections. Hans Jonas and scholars studying Gnostic traditions highlight that this suppression was intentional. The transformative power of these teachings required careful guidance and readiness, and making them public could both endanger the unprepared and diminish the authority of institutional leaders. By controlling which teachings were shared widely, the Church shaped the perception of Jesus, emphasizing faith, obedience, and morality, while concealing methods that could empower the individual soul. The distortion of Jesus' message is also evident in how canonical narratives simplified complex teachings into easily digestible parables and moral lessons. The inner methods for awakening consciousness, understanding the soul, and preparing for death were largely omitted, leaving the majority of believers unaware of the deeper potential of his message. The turning point in historical understanding comes when we recognize that these hidden teachings were practical, experiential, and designed to guide initiates toward mastery over their own spiritual journey. Hans Jonas emphasizes that Gnostic texts reveal a reality in which life and death are interconnected through knowledge and conscious preparation, offering a stark contrast to conventional interpretations. Symbols and ritualized practices played a central role in preserving secrecy while transmitting knowledge. Initiates learned through metaphor, allegory, and guided experience, progressing gradually from ordinary understanding to profound insight. The concealment ensured that only those prepared for transformation could access the full meaning of the teachings, protecting both the practitioner and the sacred knowledge itself. By understanding who distorted and suppressed these teachings, we uncover the forces that shaped the historical narrative of Jesus, revealing that what we often consider universal truth was carefully curated, and that the deepest insights about life and death remained hidden for centuries. The implications for modern seekers are profound. Recognizing that transformative knowledge was deliberately hidden invites us to question inherited narratives and to seek understanding beyond surface-level teachings. By exploring the suppressed texts, symbols, and practices, we can reclaim methods that cultivate awareness, insight, and preparation for the mysteries of life and death. Ask yourself, how might your perception of mortality, purpose, and the spiritual path change if you access the hidden teachings that early initiates followed? The turning point is awareness, realizing that life and death are not simply events to endure, but experiences to navigate consciously, guided by wisdom that has been concealed yet remains accessible to those who seek it. The hidden teachings of Jesus are not merely historical curiosities. They have practical significance for anyone seeking to understand life, death, and the spiritual journey today. Modern spiritual practice often emphasizes faith, ritual, or moral guidance, but these approaches can overlook the deeper potential for conscious transformation that the Gnostic initiations reveal. By engaging with these hidden methods, symbolic instruction, guided contemplation, and experiential insight, seekers can awaken awareness of the soul, align with the divine spark within, and prepare for the mysteries of life and death in a conscious, empowered way. The principles behind these initiations remind us that spiritual growth is not passive, but an active, intentional process that requires engagement, reflection, and discernment. Hans Jonas and other scholars highlight that understanding these hidden teachings allows us to navigate existence with insight rather than fear. The secret initiations were designed to equip early Christians with tools to perceive hidden realities, understand mortality, and integrate divine wisdom into daily life. Applied today, these methods offer a pathway to personal empowerment. They encourage us to see death not as an end, but as a transition, and to approach life with clarity, purpose, and spiritual awareness. Reflect for a moment. How might your perception of life change if you understood the deeper truths about existence that were intentionally hidden for centuries? Could this knowledge allow you to live with greater intentionality and spiritual resilience? Symbols and allegories from the Gnostic texts continue to provide guidance for conscious seekers. The narratives of resurrection, eternal life, and the kingdom of heaven are not just promises. They are instructions for awakening awareness, integrating spiritual insight, and transforming the inner self. By reclaiming these hidden teachings, we reconnect with a practical, experiential path of spiritual growth that goes beyond inherited beliefs or surface-level devotion. The practices, once secret, invite us to engage with life and death actively, recognizing that our consciousness can shape understanding, experience, and the soul's journey. Ask yourself, how many truths about your own existence remain obscured by inherited narratives or simplified teachings? By studying the methods and symbols preserved in Gnostic texts, you can begin to uncover these layers, awakening insight that transforms both your perception of life and your approach to mortality. The hidden teachings of Jesus challenge us to move beyond conventional belief and to engage with the spiritual journey as a conscious, intentional, and transformative process. Are you ready to embrace this knowledge, reclaim the practices of early initiates, and step into a deeper understanding of life, death, and the spiritual path? The most profound insight of these hidden teachings is that Jesus' message about life and death was not simply about faith or moral conduct. It was a practical system for awakening consciousness and navigating the mysteries of existence. Hans Jonas emphasizes that the Gnostics viewed Jesus as a revealer of secret knowledge, providing methods to perceive the soul, understand hidden spiritual realities, and prepare for death consciously rather than passively. These initiations were structured, experiential, and transformative, designed to guide the practitioner from ordinary perception to profound insight, revealing the divine spark within and connecting it to the higher realities that most people never perceive. Unlike surface-level teachings, these practices empowered individuals to engage directly with the spiritual dimensions of life and death. Symbols, allegories, and ritual were the tools of this hidden knowledge. Resurrection, eternal life, and the kingdom of heaven were not merely promises. They were encoded instructions for personal transformation. Initiates learned to move beyond fear of death, to understand life as a conscious journey, and to awaken insight into the hidden structures of reality. The practices of guided meditation, symbolic purification, and staged initiation allowed followers to integrate divine wisdom into daily life, cultivating discernment, awareness, and alignment with the higher truth. By engaging with these teachings, a person could transform ordinary life into a conscious spiritual path, navigating both life and death with clarity and empowerment. The historical suppression of these teachings makes their recovery even more significant. Early institutions simplified or concealed these methods, presenting a version of Christianity focused on obedience, morality, and ritual, while reserving transformative knowledge for the initiated. The turning point lies in recognizing that these hidden teachings were designed to awaken consciousness, not simply to instruct. By studying the Gnostic texts and understanding their symbols, modern seekers can reclaim methods that empower, illuminate, and transform, bridging the gap between faith, life, and death in a conscious, intentional way. Consider the implications. What would it mean to approach life knowing that death is not an end, but a transition guided by understanding? How would it change your daily existence if you could perceive the hidden layers of reality? Align with your divine spark and integrate these insights into your decisions and actions. The hidden teachings of Jesus offer precisely this, a path to awaken insight, overcome fear, and navigate existence with both wisdom and power. They reveal that spiritual growth is not passive, but an active engagement with life's deepest mysteries. Finally, these teachings are not just historical artifacts, they are a practical invitation. By reconnecting with the hidden methods of Jesus and the early Gnostics, we gain tools to transform perception, awareness, and our experience of life and death. Ask yourself, are you ready to reclaim this lost knowledge? Engage with your spiritual journey consciously, and awaken the capacities that were once reserved for the initiates? The path is hidden, but it is still accessible to those willing to seek, reflect, and integrate its wisdom into their lives. Now that you've explored the hidden teachings of Jesus, it becomes clear that what we were taught about life, death, and the spiritual journey is only part of the story. Hans Jonas and the Gnostics reveal a system of knowledge and practice designed to awaken consciousness, prepare the soul, and illuminate realities that lie beyond ordinary perception. These secret initiations are practical tools for transformation, offering guidance for navigating both life and death consciously. By reclaiming this hidden wisdom, we realize that spiritual growth is not passive or inherited. It is active, intentional, and transformative, rooted in awareness, insight, and personal experience. Reflect on your own journey. How often have your beliefs or practices truly awakened your inner capacities, rather than providing comfort or routine? The teachings of secret initiations invite you to engage with life as a conscious journey, where each thought, intention, and action contributes to spiritual empowerment. By recovering these hidden practices, we gain not only insight into the mysteries of existence, but also the means to navigate them with clarity, courage, and alignment with the divine spark within. Ask yourself, what truths about life and death are waiting for you beyond the surface of inherited narratives, and how might they transform the way you live? If this revelation has resonated with you, take action now. Leave a comment sharing your reflections, insights, or even a conscious prayer. By participating, you join a community of seekers dedicated to keeping these hidden truths alive, preserving knowledge that has been concealed for centuries. Each comment, each reflection, strengthens the network of awareness, creating a living dialogue that connects us to the wisdom of the early initiates. Remember, the journey of discovery does not end here. The hidden teachings of Jesus invite us to question, explore, and awaken. They show us that spiritual life is not merely about following inherited stories, but about engaging consciously with the practices, symbols, and insights that transform the soul. As you continue on your path, ask yourself, how will you integrate these teachings into your life? Are you ready to approach life and death with awareness, courage, and transformation? The invitation is open, and the journey is yours to continue.